This week, the Republican race for president began to take shape. We still don't know who the winner will be, but we kind of know how it's going to shape up and what the options will be. There have been, as you know, almost every week there are 3 or 4 different polls, and they often disagree with each other. But in the last week, there have been 3 nationwide polls of Republican primary voters, and each has agreed with the other. All 3 say the same thing. And they show 4 candidates with significant vote share, and everybody else pulling up the rear. They all show Trump in the lead with about 23 or 24%. Carson right on his heels at 21 or 22%. And they all show Rubio and Cruz, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, more or less tied at 13 or 14 or 12%. And then after you go through those candidates, they all fall off down to about 5% of the vote, which is where Bush is, and Fiorina, and various other candidates, Christie, who's down a little bit further. All of them are bunched into that category of less than 5%. Now, it's very surprising that Bush is there, because obviously at one point he was the front runner. But that was a while ago. And unless Bush does something pretty dramatic, he's basically out of it at this point. He has a lot of money, but I'm not sure he can claw his way back in. I think people have looked at him and decided he just is not material to be president. So you have probably 4 people, one of whom is going to be the nominee, Trump, Carson, Cruz, and Rubio. I think that Carson is beginning to show evidence of flakiness, which is the disease that affects amateurs who haven't spent their whole life in politics, and some of their opinions sound a little outlandish. He said that he thought the pyramids in Egypt were designed for grain storage. He said that as a child, when he was 14, he stabbed somebody with a knife, and that led to his concentration on anger management, which he's tamed. And all of his childhood friends told CNN that they didn't recall that, but one said it might have happened. And Carson said that, it did happen, but I've been asked not to identify the name of the guy I stabbed. He said the Holocaust could have been averted if Jews had guns. He said he fell asleep several times while driving. Just stuff that is, he said the 9/11, he would not have invaded Afghanistan, but would have relied on becoming energy independent to reply to the bin Laden attack. Stuff that's a little weird. And I wonder if that's going to begin to hurt him. And I think there is an increasing consensus that he lacks the knowledge base and, most importantly, the strength, the forcefulness to be a strong Republican candidate. Trump has no lack of forcefulness, and he's a very strong figure. And increasingly, it's apparent he's uniquely capable of bringing voters out that have not previously voted. And remember, the big problem we had in 2008 and 2012 was that while Democratic turnout soared, Republican turnout soured. And there are so many sort of white high school dropout truck drivers who might normally vote Republican, but who are so disgusted with politics that they don't come out. And a guy like Trump energizes them and may bring them out to vote. And then in the more usual candidates, you have Rubio and Cruz. And I think it is true that Rubio is kind of now in the moderate lane, and Cruz is in the conservative lane. Cruz is to the right of Rubio on immigration, on Iran, and on a host of other issues. And, for example, in the free trade agreement that Obama just submitted, Rubio's for it and Cruz is against it. So I think that the contest will boil down to those 4, and at some point, if Trump's not able to sustain his front-runner status, it might boil down to Cruz against Rubio. We just don't know. This was also the week, of course, when Obama ended no suspense and killed the Keystone Pipeline, claiming that the price of oil had dropped, and what did we need Keystone for? Which is ridiculous. It's like taking credit for the sun rising. The reason the price of oil has dropped is fracking and increased production from the Alberta Sands oil supply in Canada. Keystone is crucial to the United States because it permits us to set up a North American OPEC, of Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Without Keystone, Canada will probably ship its gas to Winnipeg, and from thence it'll be sent over to China. And they'll be part of China's strategy for energy independence, not our strategy. God help us. This was also the week when the State Department, it was revealed, that Hillary had signed a non-disclosure agreement when she became secretary, promising not to disclose or keep in an unsecured location anything that was labeled as classified. And there are 2 memos that it's been proven she had on her computer that fell directly into that category. And the agreement specifies criminal penalties for violation. That story was only carried in the Washington Free Beacon, promoted on Drudge, but it might make its way into the mainstream press and could materially change this whole situation. Tomorrow, on Monday, we'll talk about the Democratic debate, which was held on Friday night. It wasn't really a debate. Rachel Maddow questioned Sanders and Clinton separately, but some interesting stuff came out of it, and we'll discuss that. Thanks for watching.